Operation Sindoor was a military success. Russia, because of the current Russia-Ukrainian war, India stands firm and show its power by saying that it is conducting a strategic autonomy as a rising power. It also sent a signal to China that maybe had some ideas about undermining India national security by saying that India will do everything in its power to assure its national security, even if it means to go into a limited operation, military operation, or a full-scale war against its neighbors. It is getting closer to Israel. It is getting closer to other countries in the Mediterranean Sea that can appease or address the threat that Turkey is posing. India will not like to be only an importer of weaponry or different military and defense means, but also an exporter of different weapons and military capabilities. We know very well that India made good use of AI during Operation Sindoor, being able to jam Chinese radars that allowed India to conduct this successful operation. Not only that the military and defense issues will deepen and extend, but I believe that they will become more and more strategic in the future. With President Donald Trump imposing tariffs on India, India is looking for new partners that could fill the gap that is forming very quickly. Of its multi-aligned approach, it has this capability and flexibility to turn to other partners and to see how they can collaborate together in a certain gap that was created by other partners or countries in the world. We know that there are some talks with China because although India and China have their own issues.
Hi, I am Pratim Ranjan Bose, and you are watching Podcast with Pratim, presented by Iravati Research and Communication Center or IRCC. In this episode, we will discuss India-Israel strategic cooperation. I have with me Nina Slama. Welcome, Nina.
Thank you, sir.
Nina is a lecturer and project manager at Reichman University in Israel. She is an Indo-Israel affairs analyst at Usanas Foundation in India and a visiting senior fellow at Impact and Policy Research Institute. Nina, we would like it to be a shorter version of the podcast. So let me first start with Operation Sindoor, and it's the region. You are aware that the region is heating up, and we just saw a 4-day war between India and Pakistan. The details are, everyone is aware. Pakistan got supports from the logistics supports from China and Turkey, but Beijing also offered it the key satellite surveillance. Among the unusual part, the US, which is an Indian ally, or they are also ally of Pakistan, so they decided to remain completely silent this time. But in the time of the past India-Pakistan conflict during Kargil time, the US helped us with information, and even during the Chinese standoff in 2020, they helped with satellite surveillance. So that's history already. Now, my first question to you is what's your take on Operation Sindoor, and how do you rate Indian strengths and weaknesses, successes, etc.? And a specific question, do you think that India should have done more on the grey zone warfare? I'm talking with reference to the latest revelation by the Air Force Chief about gunning down 5 aircrafts, including an F-16 and an AWACS. Over to you, Nina.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me in your important podcast. So, first of all, Operation Sindoor was a military success. It was very impressive to see the way that India conducted a measured, non-escalatory, limited operation that allowed India to not only strike 9 different terrorist infrastructures uh, within Pakistan and different parts of Kashmir, but not doing so without launching a full-scale war. Doing so also without crossing the line of control, the LOC, and being able to intercept different projectiles that were fired from Pakistan to not only military but also civilian infrastructures within India. You mentioned that China and Pakistan, Turkey are involved very much in the reinforcement of the Pakistani army when it comes to weaponry, intelligence, and radars. But India also has its own partners following its multi-aligned approach. We know that India is collaborating very closely with Russia, with France, and with Israel when it comes to its national security, when it comes to different offense and defense weaponry that it procured from these allies. And we saw that although India was very much condemned for procuring as the S-40 capabilities from Russia because of the current Russia-Ukrainian war, India stands firm and show its power by saying that it is conducting a strategic autonomy as a rising power that has to assure its national security and address different threats coming from state and non-state actors. We know very well that India is surrounded by 2 nuclear countries. And for the past few years and during many years, India was very reluctant when it comes to dealing with Pakistan. Its operation against Pakistan were precise and very much limited in order to restore tactically the deterrence without escalating the war with Pakistan into a full-scale war that could deteriorate to a nuclear war as well. But today, the entire strategy of India changed. We saw that each and every terrorist attack that will be that will occur against India will be responded by firm military activity that will not only restore deterrence but also weaken the army and the capabilities of its enemy. It also sent a signal to China that maybe had some ideas about undermining India national security by saying that India will do everything in its power to assure its national security, even if it means to go into a limited operation, military operation, or a full-scale war against its neighbors. Now, you, of course, mentioned Turkey and China, and I would like to focus on Turkey for a minute. We know that India is acting or is taking some steps regarding the policies that Turkey, under the leadership of President Recep Erdogan, is conducting against India for many years now. But India was very well aware about the rapprochement of Turkey to Pakistan when it comes to support, when it comes to military cooperation, and something that was shown during Operation Sindoor when many drones, 400 to be precise, were fired from Pakistan to India. But today, India, and as always, is taking some steps that are not only military. It is getting closer to Israel. It is getting closer to other countries in the Mediterranean Sea that can appease or address the threat that Turkey is posing. I'm talking about Cyprus and Greece that are very much also very much threatened by Turkey's aspiration in the region. And by doing so, there is a new triangle was formed by Israel, Greece, and Cyprus that India is being part of it and would like very much to be part of it, to collaborate closely with these partners. And we saw recently that Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid an official visit to Cyprus in order to strengthen these relations with these countries. So we see that India is, as a vision, as a strategic approach when it comes to its national interest and its security, national security interests, and is acting in different domestic, regional, and international aspects.
Thanks, Nina. Now, the crucial mode part. The post-Operation Sindoor, India is on a rush to augment its military capacities. And of course, as Sindoor has exhibited, that cyber and space, air, this is the area. Now, India-Israel has already been cooperating, on cyber security areas. Israel has a joint venture in India with Adani to manufacture drones. I'm keen to know, you are also there in some other ventures. So I'm keen to know that whether in this capacity augmentation exercise, Israel will come up in a big way and or India-Israel relations will further strengthen. And if so, in which are the areas? Because things are probably moving on very fast track because we have seen that the 52 new military satellites that the government approved in October, now they have advanced the delivery deadlines. So in 2026 itself, we will see many of them and a lot of focus on private sectors and etc. So over to you, what is going to happen in India-Israel cooperation space?
So first of all, the military and defense collaboration between both countries are strategic and very close. For many years, and even before the normalization of relations between both countries in 1992. Israel was the only country during the Cold War that provided ammunition and support to India in its wars against China in 1962 and Pakistan in 1965 and 1971. Following the launch of the Kargil War and the embargo that was imposed on India following the nuclear test of 1998, Israel was also keen and ready to help India when it comes to border security, to see how it can push back Pakistani forces that invaded India and posed an imminent threat on its national security. Moving on, we know that since Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to power in 2014, the defense and military collaboration extended very much. And we know that Israel is the third export country when it comes to military exports to India, following Russia and France. Now, following Operation Sindoor and following Operation Rising Lion that Israel conducted against Iran, we know that both countries would like to deepen that relations. And we know that in last July, Director General of Israel's Ministry of Defense, Major General Amir Baram, paid an official visit to India. And he met India's Chief of Defense Staff, CDS General Anil Chauhan, and India's National Security Advisor, NSA Ajit Doval, together with India's Defense Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh, and other key elements from the Indian defense industry. And the main objective of this visit was to deepen the military and defense ties when it comes to research and development, R&D, and promoting joint manufacturing initiatives. We know that Prime Minister Modi has been promoted the Make in India initiative, something that Israel is very happy to be part of and is welcoming this initiative that doesn't only expand the industrial sector in India when it comes to military and defense issues, but also allow India to be self-reliant, something that is very important to different countries today in the military sector due to connectivity challenges that can come up during challenging times or during war times where countries that used to have good relations with with other countries that are forced or do not have any possibility or are forced to be part of or to fight they are forced to fight in different wars that were imposed on them and should have the necessary equipment and means to address military and security issues. So the ability to be self-reliant on the one hand, and also to change the paradigm when it comes to military relations with country. By that, I'm meaning that India will not like to be only an importer of weaponry or different military and defense means, but also an exporter of different weapons and military capabilities. We know very well that during the sports of Iron war that Israel is conducting in multiple fronts, India was ready to export ammunition to Israel that was in a shortage. So changing the relations from only an importer of arms from Israel to an exporter of arms in time of needs. So this is very something that is very interesting when it comes to India, showing the change of policy and of strategy when it comes to these relations. Another aspect of the official visit that the Director General of Defense of the Ministry of Defense of Israel did was also to explore new industrial collaborations with Indian defense companies, trying to see how they can collaborate more, how they can address threats coming from state and non-state actors, because the world is changing. There is also the artificial intelligence that is coming in and is posing many challenges to many countries in different sectors, but also in the military sector and national security sectors. We know very well that India made good use of AI during Operation Sindoor, being able to jam Chinese radars that allowed India to conduct this successful operation. And just to see how the rapid and very fast developments in this sector is also developing. And more importantly, not only to to have joint meetings regarding military issues between India and Israel, but also to create an institutional framework that will allow India and Israel to cooperate more closely and more effectively when it comes to military and defense issues. Because as you mentioned, things are eating up not only in South Asia, but also in West Asia. And in order to address this threat in a more effectively way, there should be an institutional framework that can allow fast response and the first response of both countries in time of need, but also a framework that will allow an effective response as well. So we know very well that following the current war in Israel and the Operation Rising Lion against Iran and Operation Sindoor, not only that the military and defense issues will deepen and extend, but I believe that they will become more and more strategic in the future.
Thanks, Tina. Let's wrap up with another dimension to it, the India-US relations have been strained. It is at its 25-year low. And certain things are probably irrevocable. Certain things. So, that said, how do you believe that because from Quad, there was natural extension to U2I2, where Israel is a party. And so, how do you look at the security challenges in the or what is your take on these features and conflicts that is coming in? How do you expect things to move? The collaboration, the regular settings that were, there was an arrangement. So, but arrangements are collapsing right from the WTO, UN in framework to everywhere. So, how do you expect things in this light?
Yes. So we know very well that since President Donald Trump took the reins of power, he conducted and promoted a different approach when it comes to foreign policy and foreign affairs of the US. We have to remember that the US is a power that has many interests, broad and international interests when it comes to his vision of the world. We know very well that President Trump would like very much to end all wars in order to promote ambitious economic and trade projects such as IMEC, the India Middle East European Corridor. And we know very well that he's doing is taking a proactive approach when it comes to Russia, when it comes to Israel, discussing with key pragmatic Arab countries in West Asia in order to bring them in the framework of the Abraham Accords and lending them or giving them the opportunity to be part of the Abraham Accords and be part of the IMEC. And from time to time, we can see that some of the policies do not converge or are not aligned with the policies of India or even Israel when it comes to their interests in the region. But what is important to know is that India is watching very closely how different countries are operating in the international arena. And when there is one country that is changing its policy in a certain area, such as the trade area, with President Donald Trump imposing tariffs on India, India is looking for new partners that could fill the gap that is forming very quickly. Because as we mentioned, India has this strategic and visionary approach when it comes to foreign affairs. It knows very well that foreign affairs are affecting not only the stance of India in the world, but also is influencing directly domestic issues such as the economy and what we call the personal security of people, naming food security, healthcare, agriculture that is also a strategic component of India's national security and interest. And India is just watching very closely how things are developing. And within the framework of its multi-aligned approach, it has this capability and flexibility to turn to other partners and to see how they can collaborate together in a certain gap that was created by other partners or countries in the world. We know that there are some talks with China because although India and China have their own issues, it shows that when a certain country is like the US is changing its policy towards India, both India and China can come together in a pragmatic way or in the framework of realpolitik, put aside the differences in order to work in a certain area, in order to fill the gap and see how they can manage to work together. So today, foreign policy, foreign affairs, and international relations are very dynamic. In the past few years, we see that things are developing very fast. Things or different areas, sectors, and policies that took many years to be promoted are promoted in a blink of an eye. And this is why countries should learn how to navigate these turbulent waters, how to understand what exactly is going on in the international arena, and act accordingly.
That's good. Thanks for giving your time. And
Thank you, sir.